Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Jack Kirby Monday, so I'm looking at the next issue of his Fourth World Saga. This is issue number 3 of the Forever People, cover dated July 1971. Pretty cool looking cover. I think overall still fits in that Jack Kirby 70s, early 70s DC aesthetic. You've got the main figures here coming at you with a nice just monochrome red, which I think works really well. And to have one of the antagonists of this introduced in this issue kind of pop out there with some pretty psychedelic, funky coloring, gotta be honest. I don't know if that's on purpose, but there's just something I like about it. And again, it's very psychedelic and very bright, and definitely contrasts with the figures in the front. You've still got a black and white collage back there, which again helps define that Kirby look from that period. Not quite sure what that image actually is, but graphically, design-wise, I think it works. And you've got just tons and tons of bombast and hyperbole all over the cover, written by Kirby as well, because he was editing the book. So I'm just going to read that stuff because it's kind of part of the fun of these covers, I think. It's just the dialogue just to me is very very Kirby, very, very pure Kirby dialogue. They believe, they judge, they kill. Beware of the justifiers. Their next victim may be you or the Forever People. Live by my rules or die. It's the brainchild of Glorious Godfrey, who's a character we're going to be introduced here as well. Two new characters, the Justifier or the Justifiers. They're kind of like members of a cult, as you'll see, and Glorious Godfrey is their leader. If you fear life, Godfrey will save you with anti-life. Anti-life being a kind of a huge overarching concept in the Fourth World Saga, all the New Gods books. So here we start off. I don't know, again, if this is something that you would do today. And I mean, Jack Kirby's a Jewish man. It doesn't offend me, but he starts with a quote from Hitler, right? That is the great thing about our movement, that these members are uniform not only in ideas, but even the facial expression is almost the same. And that's kind of what he's trying to depict here, right? A bunch of mindless kind of cult followers is what we have here. And then we're introduced to the leader of the cult, Glorious Godfrey. And if you know anything about, the Christian kind of movement from the South and the States and the super churches and the televangelists and pastors and stuff, these guys and you've heard about them, and they usually are pretty darn rich and own lots of land and private jets and stuff. Kind of a weird racket, but anyways, I definitely think that Glorious Godfrey here is inspired by Billy Graham in the 70s, would have been the equivalent of that. Love this double page splash. I love, again, the 70s-ness. The clothing here that Glorious Godfrey wears, the collar, right? It's almost something Elvis would wear, like one of his jumpsuits. The podium from which he's talking has this kind of design here that almost kind of represents or similar to the eagles that the Nazis would use. This machine over here, right, that this guy's like some sort of organ that he's playing, right, because you got the musical notes here, which again is probably part of the allure of the whole thing, and also used to somewhat hypnotize or brainwash the cult members. Just a great double page splash with these other guys in the back too, the Justifiers, right? All the slogans back here. This stuff here, like, I wonder if it's just born of the fact that it's a comic book and that's why he was doing all these things. But there's something I like about it in this religious context, and something that almost feels like later on will be used in that movie with Roddy Piper, They Live. If you've ever checked that out. If you haven't, do yourself a favor. It's a pretty awesome movie. So I'll read these. Life has pitfalls. Anti-life is protection. Life will make you doubt. Anti-life will make you right. You can't justify anything with anti-life. You can justify anything with anti-life. Judge others, enslave others, kill others. Anti-life will give you the right. Yeah, it's some pretty harsh stuff. Anti-life basically being subjugated, being enslaved, right? Total evil, basically. No individuality. All of a sudden, it's been known that Kirby sometimes just changes stuff on a whim. So maybe this next page was done on another day and he forgot that Glorious Godfrey didn't have the form-fitting and kind of muscular body. So the costume changes a little bit. But I mean, not really the end of the world when the storytelling is so effective. Obviously, you get a shot of Darkseid because he ultimately is, their god and the one seeking anti-life and trying to impose it on everyone, right? But there are shots, like I feel like this shot here, if you know who Billy Graham is, I feel like this is one of the shots where it really looks like him. And then we get back to Earth and see the Forever People are being threatened by one of these cult members, one of these Justifiers, who, of course, is going to take on the weak, right? And what's weaker than a crippled kid on crutches? I don't know if he's actually crippled or if his leg's broken, but yeah, he's threatening the weakest of them, obviously. Just a great design too. Sometimes a lot of these New Gods designs, some of them are okay, but I feel like the coloring doesn't help them really. And I feel like this is one where maybe it's not horrible, but I feel the color choice could have been better. Still some, again, I will say pretty decent inking from Coletta as opposed to what he was doing on Thor. Pretty close to what Kirby was laying down. Then every once in a while I feel like he might, prettify a face. Is that a word? Just make the face a little bit more pretty here. Maybe it was a little odd looking there and he fixed it. And I do feel like he's doing a little bit of fix up on the lady faces, the Kirby lady faces. Now the mother box is obviously just a very, very potent plot tool because you can pretty much make it do anything. So it's pretty convenient. And of course catches the boy midair so he doesn't hurt himself. Love this shot of Big Bear busting out the side with the debris and stuff. Just really works for me. The cropping, the overlapping elements just makes it very dynamic. I think it works really well. Mark Moonrider, running even faster there. Some very powerful stuff always when Kirby's doing the action. This shot of Big Bear kind of flying up in the air is pretty cool too. So again, Mother Box, a pretty convenient device all the way throughout. So what they're doing here, as Viking explains, is the Justifier, if he comes back, will be the target for deadly micron particles. Mother Box fills the air with them. So they're leaving those particles to protect the kid. It says the particles are computed not to harm the boy. And what they're doing is, again, very conveniently using Mother Box to know where and find the Justifiers and lead the Forever people to them, right? So to bring the fight to them. Love Kirby's just imagined vehicles that I always feel he comes up with it just on the spot, similar maybe to the Fantastic Car and the stuff he was doing in Fantastic Four. But again, in New Gods, you've got the technology and the sci-fi mixing in with the mythology, which is just, I love that aesthetic. Again, a good way, I've talked about this before, these two panels showing you how, it's very important. Don't do it how Rob Liefeld does it. When you have multiple characters who have the same costume, use that as an opportunity almost to animate your page, right? Where each character is breaking down kind of the movement of one character within the panel, right? So how you do that is you make sure that each one of them has a different position, different angle, right? And a different action. And Kirby he knows how to do it. He's doing it on both these panels here. Looks great. He's doing it over here too. And he's keeping your eye moving, right? The direction of your eye, following that S pattern. Like masterclass right here, just this page of storytelling, right? Going up here, follow these guys down, right? And they curve, so you're going to go here, follow those guys down up to this guy, and then boom, across the page. Sometimes, in wanting to do elaborate stuff and crazy stuff, we forget that basic little rule that no matter what, Kirby always seems to follow. If you look at this page too, once again, they're all Justifiers here are doing different actions all the way throughout, right? And it leads you down here, back over here. Buildings lead you here. Reading direction is always obvious. So back to Glorious Godfrey and his makeup studio. Here's another shot where I feel like he's really looking probably at some photo reference of Billy Graham. Again, he looks like him here. And as the series evolves, I feel like Glorious Godfrey will look a little less like that and will become an official Kirby character. But I like the fact that you can kind of see where visually and conceptually the inspiration's coming from. It's pretty obvious. All right, so the Forever people show up to what is basically here, it seems like a circus tent, but it's kind of representing those super churches and stuff where these televangelists preach their stuff. Again, this is kind of Kirby's commentary on cults and stuff. Forever people, if you don't know, and this is something that'll probably, I feel like, I could be wrong as we go through the reviews, I'll try to point it out, but I feel like in later on issues, Infinity Man shows up less and less. But yeah, basically precursors to Captain Planet. As their powers combine, they call on Infinity Man, and for some reason when he shows up, Taru is a word, Taru is the word that they say to invoke him. I always thought this was a little bit hokey, and Infinity Man, I'll say again, his costume is just, maybe the color scheme doesn't help. I don't know if I would have had like the exposed skin, arms and thighs and stuff. A lot of the color schemes, I don't think Kirby actually chose himself for the comics. So he would just trust the colorist, and yeah, that's what happens when you do that. But we get some cool kind of concepts with Infinity Man. He kind of goes through the ground here, and I like the visual representation of him kind of phasing through the earth. You get some of it here. Like, no matter what Kirby's doing and what concept he's trying to get across, it's always very kind of clear and concise and simple to read. Like, you're not like, what? Like with what he's saying, and he's phasing through the ground, you're like, yeah, okay, he's going through rock and earth and stuff. It just somehow works. You know, what he uses, the mark making he uses and the aesthetic he uses that's different here, just sells that idea. He's really good at it. And this is just funny, like once we get into the Infinity Man gets into the carnival religious happening tent, whatever you want to call it. Wow, a ghost rising from the ground. I just thought that was funny. He thinks it's a ghost. They start shooting it, but of course, shooting him, excuse me. Infinity Man has infinite powers. I don't know if they're infinite, but you know, he's very strong. So he redirects the bullets to the justifiers. That's what's described here, right? And this I love. He talks about the demon's organ, which must be destroyed. Obviously, he's talking about the musical instrument, not any kind of genitalia or internal organ. And you know, it's again, it's not explicitly said, but it's kind of hinted at that the music also helps to kind of enthrall and hypnotize the crowd, right? Which I think is an interesting kind of idea as well. Music as propaganda, right? Which can, you know, if you look at the Nazis, they did it. So Infinity Man's about to confront Glorious Godfrey, but hey, who shows up? You recognize that face, even though it's tightly cropped. Darkseid. Darkseid stares down Infinity Man and basically makes him discombobulate and break back down into the forever people. I've been talking and tracking about, excuse me, let me try that again. I've been tracking and talking about the evolution in Darkseid's design. I think we're almost there with the final design. Does definitely seem here like he's wearing the skirt. He's got the thigh-high boots, still some buckles here, which I think will maybe disappear eventually. But that's pretty much his look, at least from the waist down. Above that, everything seems pretty consistent, except for this that keeps appearing and eventually I don't think will. This kind of armband. Right? So I don't know if he meant for his shoulder to still be part of his costume or something, or to be a shoulder pad or a different color. I'm not quite sure, but eventually that'll disappear as well. And we'll just have these kind of threads on the side here. So he's wearing kind of a, I guess what you call a muscle shirt with no sleeves. And also the color is still not quite getting it, where Darkseid's tunic and tunic, that's what it is, not a skirt, a tunic. And his shirt and his boots are a different color than the rest, and eventually it'll all become one color. So still some variation there with Darkseid, but slowly but surely his final form is congealing. Like the shot once again of, you know, the forever people basically have been shot here by Desaad. He calls it a nerve beam. So they're kind of, I guess, passed out or whatever. And here, what I love about this panel is the foreground figure, right, lifting him up. This guy's putting him on his shoulder. This guy's dragging him once again. That same idea of those characters, you know, could almost be one character doing, you know, all these actions to one character in a panel. Very animated and helps move things and move the action. And again, same kind of thing here. Desaad's face, I always think, is just the right amount of disturbing, I guess, most times. Here, he just looks kind of mean, but very disturbing here. And on the last page too, which I'll point out, this is such a great classic splash page to me. That shot of Darkseid, one of the best kind of headshots of Darkseid that are out there. Glorious Godfrey, once again, does look a lot like Billy Graham still. And I love this whole conversation about the anti-life equation, right? And why Darkseid seeks it and what it's about. And just the dialogue by Kirby, I think, is great. So I'll just read this page. Surely not even the great Darkseid believes in the existence of the anti-life equation. Why, if one could master such an equation, he could control the minds of all living things in the universe with a mere word. I believe in anti-life, great Darkseid, but it can only be induced in others by the means of inventive selling. So he thinks it's just about, you know, propaganda and marketing to sell the idea of anti-life. It's not an actual thing. I like you, glorious Godfrey. You're a shallow, precious child, the revelationist, happy with the sweeping sound of words. But I am the revelation, the tiger force at the core of all things. When you cry out in your dreams, it is Darkseid that you see. Just love that Kirby dialogue. A lot of people have shit on it over the years. I love it. Darkseid continues, the anti-life equation exists, locked in the mind of someone here on Earth, and only I dare reach for it. I shall create chaos here, shake up the planet, shake up that mind. So yeah, there's Darkseid's motivations laid out pretty bare. I love this shot of him with the hand in the air. Pretty cool. And then once again, this being one of the most disturbing shots of Desaad, and just the sadistic eyes. He just has a way, Kirby has a way of working with the expression and exaggerating certain things, and all at work here, and just a great shot to leave us at the end of this issue here. Oh, love those bikes. All right, well, there you go, guys. That is it for my Monday review of Jack Kirby and the Forever People, issue number 3. If you're watching still and are subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you sticking around. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It only takes a quick second for you, and it really helps the channel out, helps us grow, helps get us up to our next goal of 500 subscribers and our first YouTube milestone. So everyone out there, thanks again for watching, and have yourselves an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KIngComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe!